Hey everybody, welcome. How is everyone today? Glad to see so many people already here today. That's fantastic. Great. I'm always happy to see everybody here. If you guys can hear me okay, as usual, please give me a thumbs up. Oh, I have my phone on. I better turn that off. I think you guys normally are bombarded with advertising whenever the show starts, and that's a real pain. But unfortunately, that's how Google makes the gazillion dollars that they do on a regular basis. So we have to put up with that. But give me a thumbs up if the sound's okay. Not too hot, I hope. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Sunday show. Today I'm playing. I dug out my my Strat because I haven't played it in a while, and I felt that I wanted to give it some air. This is a Japanese Strat, one of my early acquisitions, and I love this guitar. I don't think I'd ever sell it. Basically, I bought this online on eBay. And I love the sunburst. I love the three-tone sunburst guitars, and the rosewood neck. And this one was really nice, really clean, and I've had it ever since. It's probably, I'm gonna say I've had this guitar now for probably over at least 20 years. So it's one of the older ones in my collection. Yeah, the guitar is not plugged in. I was just playing it like this. I was actually tuning it up because it was out of tune. It was in the case. So yeah, I'll play it a little here and there just to warm up my fingers. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is episode number 60, guys. 60th. The 60th live stream, which is amazing if you think about it. And I'm glad you guys are all tuning in and keeping on tuning in. That's what I love to see. I know you guys were waiting before I actually got on live, and I think you guys, some of you guys have some questions. So let's get to the questions right away, and then I'll say good morning to the people that are already here. I think you guys had your questions in the chat room and they may have disappeared. So if you don't mind, guys, put your comments once again in the comment section here so I can see them. But Jeff says that he is doing really well. Swapped my Marshall Origin 20H for a 1988 Mesa 50 caliber. And he owned this amp before and he sold it, and now he's got it back. So that's something I've done before, where I sold an amp and then had seller's remorse and ended up buying it again. So the Mesa 50 is a nice amplifier. I don't know if it's not necessarily Marshall sounding, but definitely has some flexibility in it. So Jeff, what do you like specifically about that particular amp, just so that we can get an idea? And I guess the Marshall Origin wasn't doing it for you. Maybe it didn't have enough gain. A lot of people have bought that amp, the Origin, and ended up selling it for whatever reason. You can get them for pretty cheap actually nowadays. So I think, for somebody who's after that particular sound, you can get some pretty good deals on that Origin. The Mesas, not so much. They're still pretty expensive, even the used ones. I've seen a lot of Mesa amps for sale lately, and I don't know if that's because of the acquisition by Gibson, if people are liquidating their stock, but I've seen a lot of Mark IIIs, Mark IIs, the early ones, for sale. I don't know if somebody's just thinking like, maybe they're going to lose value and they want to sell them now before that happens. I'm not really sure, but Let me just turn the volume off on my laptop so you don't hear the clicks every 2 seconds. All right, so that's Jeff's comment of the day. Has anyone else acquired anything cool this past week? Any guitars, amps, pedals, or anything else? Definitely want to hear about that first. I want to welcome everybody that's new in the house today. If you guys are here for the first time, basically the Addicted to Gear channel is kind of like gear addiction therapy for everyone who can't stop buying stuff. And we basically, I guess, console each other on Sundays usually and just talk about gear, talk about what we've purchased, and just tell each other that it's okay. And encourage each other in a way to buy more gear. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you know, if you haven't tuned in, just be prepared for that. We always have a good group of people here and very responsive in terms of chatting and questions, and don't feel shy to jump in with your questions or comments related to anything around gear. We're always more than happy to answer those questions. So let me take a moment to say hello to everyone that's already here. So as I mentioned, Jeff is here, Jack Collins is here, Alan is here, Cushman, Bruce is here as well. Bruce says there's nothing new for me this week, but helped a friend buy a few guitars on Reverb. Almost bought a Fractal AX8, but decided my Ampero was more than enough for what I do at home. That's great, man. That's great that you kind of took the diplomatic route and didn't just cave into an urge. But the Fractal 8 is really nice, I gotta say. Yeah, I think the Ampero does a great job as well. And for people that don't need all the bells and whistles, you're probably saving a ton of money, and at the same time, probably saving a lot of time as well, because the Ampero doesn't have as many options, so that you don't end up suffering from, you know, analysis paralysis when you're trying to tweak your sound, which often can happen with these very extensive units. So Joe McCarty's here as well. Good morning. Joe says almost bought the Axe FX3, but decided just to stick with my Boss GT1000. So there's another one. So I guess the people at Fractal are losing out on a lot of sales due to the other less expensive multi-effects units out there. Seems to be the case. Interesting. I've never played the Boss GT1000, but I had the one before that. And that one was a nice unit as well, well built. I gotta say the Boss stuff is definitely well built. Never had any issues with them. I think they need to catch up though. I think they're falling a little bit behind the Helix stuff, and obviously the Axe FX stuff as well. But I'm sure they'll come up with something interesting, because they always come out with something new, right? It's like a cat and mouse situation with these units. You're always being enticed by something new. Good morning, Matt. Morning, Wayne. Fat Philosopher says, awesome cover axe today. Good morning, Fat Philosopher. Ed is here as well. Good morning, Ed. Dan Smith. He's coming to us today from rainy New Hampshire. I gotta say the weather has been rainy and cold here too. So it gives you a lot of time for indoor projects. As a matter of fact, I'll share with you guys a little project I worked on yesterday. I'm still a little sore from that project actually, but I'll show you a couple of pictures in a minute. Good morning, Tonefish. Dan of New Jersey is here as well. Good morning. So Fat Philosopher says he got a new bright Daphne blue Strat on my lap. And Fat Philosopher shared some pictures of that guitar with me the other day. And yeah, it definitely is a really nice guitar. Beautiful color. The Daphne blue is always a classic color in my opinion. You know, you can't go wrong. And it's cool when you see these classic colors on the modern guitars. So you have a throwback to the vintage color and look with some more modern features, which is really cool. I like seeing that. So congratulations on that new guitar, Fat Philosopher. I hope you're enjoying it. Looks like a really sweet axe. Joe says, nice t-shirt, Tony. Yeah, yeah, that's how I feel today with the weather and everything. It's kind of a meh day outside. It's gray, it's cold, it's cloudy. I think they're even predicting a bit of snow, believe it or not. So that's kind of how I feel. So I figured I'd throw that on. Cool tunes made easy. Jack says everything sounds great. That's good. Thank you. I'm just going quickly down the list here. Joey's here as well. Good. Welcome, Joey. Alan says the Japanese Strats were better than the US ones. Yeah, I think, you know what? I didn't really buy it because it was a Japanese version, this one. But I gotta say, it's a really great guitar. So I understand why people are looking for these guitars right now. Actually, when I bought this guitar way back, I actually got it for cheaper because it was a Japanese version. Back at that time, you can get the Mexicans and the Japanese guitars for a lot less than you could get the American ones for, and that's why I bought this one. And now these ones are probably like more sought after than some of the American ones. So and I see why. It's a beautiful guitar. Never had an issue. Plays like butter, and it's just a great guitar. Wayne says, love the shirt. Years ago, I told a foster kid I had that the meh wasn't a real word. Boy, was I wrong. I think the dictionary has been embellished with a lot of words that were never really meant to be real words in the last little while. Rico, good morning from Arizona. Lucky Rico. It's always sunny in Arizona. Rico, do you ever get bored of the sun? I don't think so, right? Cool Tune says, I want the same color Telecaster. Searching slowly. So the Daphne Blue, is that what you're referring to, Cool Tunes? Thank you for the anniversary compliment, Alan. Yeah, 60, man. Really good. I got to do something special. I was considering doing a giveaway. And you guys, since you guys are here all the time and you're privy to behind the scenes chatter, keep your eye open because I might very well just surprise you guys with a giveaway soon, and you'll have the opportunity to be the first ones in the know. Let me just, I need a sip of my coffee here because it's still too early. Cheers, everybody. Hey, Christian. Christian's from Germany. He's been tuning in the last few shows as well. So nice to see you back. So Fat Philosopher has a question. He says, I think the A string groove on my nut is cut too deep. I guess there's nothing to do but replace the nut. Actually, you can do something. Usually, you know, we're talking fractions of millimeters sometimes, Fat Philosopher. There's a trick you can use, I'll share with you, and it's quite easy. Just, if you have some CA glue, which is basically crazy glue, and some baking soda, you know, the type of thing that you put in your fridge to not make it smell funny, you can get a box for like $1 or something. So what you do is you just sprinkle some baking soda in the groove, and then put a drop of crazy glue in there. It'll harden instantly. It'll basically fill the groove, and then you can recut it. So, you know, that's an easy way to fix that issue. You just have to be careful, like tape off the area so you don't get crazy glue anywhere on your neck, because that stuff, you know, is really hard to remove. But I've used that trick before and it works fine. Saves you the trouble of having to buy a whole new nut and getting it installed. So there's the free tip of the day for you guys. Joey says that he had an Origin 50, great pedal amp, that typical Marshall sound, good amp. Yeah, and I think that's how most people use that particular amp. I think they use it as a pedal platform because I don't think it comes with much gain. It's more of a clean amp. And I think you can get to the edge of breakup with it. But if you, I guess, put some drive pedals in front of it, you can probably get some really cool tones. And I think you can get them used for about $500. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for a pretty neat pedal platform amplifier, you can get those for a steal nowadays, compared to everything else that seems to have gone up in price quite substantially. I haven't found any deals. I've been looking around for a couple of deals lately, just keeping my eye on the used market, and nothing, man. Everything's become quite expensive. Cool Tunes would like to know if I have any experience with Lanny Amps, because he came across them lately and they're kind of cool sounding. I did once try a Lanny amp, but this was a very, I would say it's going to be a vintage model now. Way back in the day, another guitarist I was playing with had one. It sounded good. There was nothing wrong with it. I liked the way it sounded. I think the new amps, the new Lanny amps, they have some series that are a little bit more vintage sounding as well. They sound quite good, and the people that I've seen using them for other YouTube videos, to me, they seem to be able to get some nice sounds out of them. So I don't see anything wrong with the Lanny lineup. I think maybe they're a little bit hard to find in certain locations. In my area, at least, I don't usually see them in shops that often. So I guess you would have to buy them used or something in certain places. But nothing wrong with the ones I've seen or heard. So there you go. Tonefish also commented and said exactly what I said. So Tonefish is aware of the CA and baking soda trick. Hey, Quicksilver, another stream. Yep. Yeah, Quicksilver, I actually was not planning on having one this weekend, but I think I'm probably gonna go back to every Sunday, if I can. My schedule seems to be lightening up a little bit at this point, so if it works out, I'll probably end up doing that. So there'll be less confusion, and everybody will know that it's every Sunday, 10 a.m. So keep that in mind for next Sunday. Excuse me. And sorry for the confusion, guys. I know that I've been, last week I said two Sundays from now, but yeah, things change, and I try to accommodate the shows as much as I can. Bruce says, I think people are dumping big amps because modelers are just getting so good and much more convenient. I think so too. I think, you know, the days of the 100-watt amps are numbered. I think that not many people these days, even professionals that are playing on stage, need that kind of volume anymore, because many times you can just go plug into the front of house and you can actually get away with very low volumes, and it's a lot better for the ears. So I don't know how many 100-watt amps are being sold today. And of course, you know, you buy one good quality 100-watt amplifier, you can, for the same money, oftentimes get a full-featured multi-effects unit where you have all of the bells and whistles, practically every amp and effect known to man, in a convenient package with no extra cables to worry about, that you can put in your bag, and you don't have to break your back lugging around. So I can see why most people are going that route. But just yesterday I was playing with my multi-effects units, and there's still something missing. And when I plugged into my amps yesterday, after that it was just like, it felt like home, you know. And it's, I can't say this on YouTube, but I'm going to try to give you an analogy, okay, without being censored. Multi-effect units to me are great, but they're kind of like fake boobs. You know, they look the same, but they don't feel the same. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's how I like to think of it. You know, it's just not the same. So it'll get you by in a pinch, but I think most people want to have the real thing. So that's just my perspective on that, and you can take that with a big grain of salt. Hey Charlie, nice to see you, man. Charlie's here from New Jersey. Ed says, just got my Epiphone Les Paul reissue Honeyburst. Ah, here's trouble. Just barges in. Look at that. Does that like she just owns the place. Just got my Epiphone Les Paul reissue Honeyburst 1959 from Sweetwater. Awesome guitar. So that's a really nice guitar that a lot of people are buying. I think they're really great sellers. I actually was looking at some of those models that they have now because I feel that they're doing a great job on the new ones, and obviously they're less expensive, so they're very, very enticing for a lot of people. I think that I actually was looking at an acoustic version of the Gibson Hummingbird, the Epiphone version, and I thought it would be cool to own one of those. I've always really liked the look of the Hummingbirds, but I actually never really liked the sound. I actually tried those guitars, those acoustic guitars, like the real Hummingbirds. They're selling for, I think, $4,000 nowadays. And I was like, meh, exactly like the shirt says. It didn't really, compared to the Martins, I don't know, I'm more of a Martin guy. But I like the look. I've always liked the look of the Hummingbirds. I like the inlays. And it would be great to have like an inexpensive version of that, even if it's just an Epiphone. Mike says I can spot a fake guitar a mile away. All right, so we have some good questions coming in now, so I'm gonna just jump through the bottom here, and Paul says, Tony, if you can't make it, just turn on the stream and we'll talk to each other for the duration. Good idea, man. That's a great idea. That would be cool if we can do that. You know, it would be great one day to be able to actually chit-chat with voice instead of just comments, but I guess for the time being, we'll have to do it this way. So I'm just jumping around on the questions here, and if I miss your question, sorry about that. I'm just trying to catch everybody's messages here. Have you looked at the Victory Sheriff for the Marshall sound? That's Jeff asking that question. I did. I actually almost pulled the trigger on a Sheriff at one point, specifically the Victory Sheriff. Not the other ones that they have now, because they have a few other models. But they were hard to find in my area, and I was just a little bit hesitant to buy something without trying it first. So I didn't end up ordering one or buying one. But I came like really close to grabbing one. And I think most people that have those amps are happy with them. So, but I figure now for the money that you would be spending on a Victory, you can just get the Marshall Studio and scratch that itch, and you know you're going to have the Marshall sound as well. So I don't know how much better the Victory would be over the Studio. I haven't seen any comparisons of the two. Seth is rubbing it in. He says it's going to be sunny and 80 degrees in Northern California. Well, man, I got to move to California because it's far from that temperature here. Hey, Mike, welcome. Mike Davids here. So Cool Tunes says, I had a Japanese Aerodyne Strat model a few years back. Was a decent Strat. Remember swapping pickups with Seymour hot and cool rails. Was okay, ended up selling it with 3 other guitars and got a PRS CE24. The Aerodynes were interesting. I used to, I was eyeing those guitars. They were cool because they were kind of like not shaped like a typical Strat, and but they had a cool look to them. I guess they would make a pretty nice modding platform. Like you said, you swapped out the pickups on that one. But I guess you ended up going for the PRS, the 24, and hopefully you still have that guitar. Lampu says Fender or Cort Telecaster. I'm a Fender guy. I know Cort makes some pretty decent guitars as well. But in terms of resale value, I would try to get a Fender. Just because, you know, you might end up selling it eventually, and the Corts kind of lose their value a little more. They don't hold their value as much as the Fender stuff. So unfortunately, the name does make a difference sometimes when you're selling your stuff. Hey, Jeff. Jeff says, cheers, coffee from an ATG mug. Cheers. I don't have the ATG mug. I broke it, or my kids broke it. I have this one, though, for now. It just says, I don't need Google. My wife knows everything. So I like it because it's big, and I can fit a lot in here. But I seriously have to get myself a couple more mugs because it's embarrassing not having my own mugs here. Quicksilver says, Fat Philosopher, just don't use Gorilla Glue and then touch your hair. Yeah, exactly. The CA glue is crazy stuff. You can fix so many things on guitars with CA glue, but you have to be super careful because if you get it on your paint, you're never going to get it off. And seriously, cover that guitar up completely, because even if there's a little portion of your guitar that is not covered up, that's where it's going to end up, right? You know that's going to happen. So Quicksilver says, interestingly, Marshall amps are cheaper here in Europe than in North America. And then the reverse with Fender amps. Obviously, it has to do with import duties, but UK left the EU. So now we what? We're screwed, is basically is what he said. Yeah, well, you know what? I hope none of you guys have any orders coming through the Suez Canal, because with that big, freight liner that's stuck there, I'm sure you guys have heard about this. Basically, it's causing havoc with the world economy, because now the ships can't get through. They're backlogged, and it's costing them like hundreds of, like millions of dollars a day because this ship is stuck there. And there's so many containers full of products and merchandise on these ships that just can't get through. So hopefully you didn't order something from overseas recently, because you're not gonna get it. It's just crazy how something like this can like mess up the world economy. Just looking at some more of the questions. I'm catching up to you guys. So Quicksilver says, oh, by the way, the More GE300, your shirt describes it well. You know what? I didn't try the GE300, so I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. I'm actually waiting for the NUX version, the 300. And I haven't gotten any because they're hard to find. I'm trying to find one, and they seem to be out of stock and hard to get. So I'm curious to see how it's going to stack up with the other one, with the 30. Because the 30 was pretty nice. I was playing it yesterday. Sorry, I'm mixing them up now. I'm waiting for the 30. I have the 300. So I'm curious to see what the 30 is going to sound like. So again, getting back to, I really like that last pedal review you did, Tony. Good job. Thanks, man. A lot of people didn't get it, Vox. That was this one here. This was the Windmiller. a lot of people felt that it was too expensive for the sound that it was giving, and I think a lot of people kind of missed the point on that one. It's really not a question of like giving more gain, or it's really a question of reproducing the sound of the original unit. And yeah, it's not a cheap guitar. It's definitely not. It's a couple $100, but compared to the unit that you can't get today, and I've seen on Reverb from anywhere between $4,000 and $8,000. If you're trying to get that sound, well, you're not going to be able to get it unless you get something that reproduces it well. And I feel that the Windmiller, to me anyways, does a really nice job, and I like it a lot. So I appreciate everyone's comments, and I get it that some people are like, it's like not much of a difference for that kind of money. But if you're looking for a pedal that's going to give you a big change or variation in tone, then maybe that's not the one you should be looking at. That's really for somebody that's looking for that vintage authentic sound, and I think they did a good job. But that's the cool thing about making these pedal reviews and gear reviews. You get everyone's opinion, and it's all good, but you can see where they're coming from in terms of their perspective. Cool Tune says, same here, Tony Martin, all the way for me too. Yeah, it's just like for the amount of money you're paying those hummingbirds. I mean, they're like $4,000. They sound okay, but they're not necessarily anything wow, in my opinion. And to spend $4,000 on it, I'd rather just get the Epiphone and scratch that itch for a couple $100. Seth has a question. He says, Tony, how do you feel about the truss rod adjustment at the heel? Gotta pop off the neck to adjust relief, or at least crack and tilt it. I've become a big fan of the pinwheel adjuster. Yes, 100%, Seth. You hit the nail on the head. That is, the only drawback to these authentic or reproduction, the reissue guitars. So as you can see, there's no truss rod adjustment here, because this is a reissue, and it's down here. So you can't get to it. You can't get to it with a screwdriver. You can't get to it with anything unless you pop off the neck, which is a real pain, because then you got to like pop off the neck, adjust it, put it all back together, check it again. And if you're off, you got to do it all over again. And it's a real pain. Plus, it can cause you issues with the paint around the heel as well. Here, you got to be super careful when you're popping off necks and putting them back on. Sometimes you end up getting cracks and you end up chipping the paint. So I'm not a big fan of those. The pinwheel, the pinwheel ones are great. Those are the ones you want. I've just become a huge fan. You can get those on the Charvels. I believe the Harley Benton Fusion has it on down there as well. Those are the ones that are fantastic, because you don't need any special tools. You don't need an Allen key. It doesn't strip. You just need like a little bar, a nail, or screw, or whatever you want to use to put in the little hole and just twist it, and you're done. That's what you want. Bruce says, I mostly agree with you about the modelers, but even the touring pros are using modelers for consistency with fake prop amps on stage to look cool. I know. A lot of artists are going that route, and I understand why. I mean, it's convenient and it's reproducible, right? The thing is, you can take two units. You can take a second unit as a backup. You can preload all your sounds. If anything goes wrong, you have a backup, and it's not going to break the bank. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Paul says, Tony, this is not a YouTube site. It's a clubhouse. Well, I like that idea. Modelers are cool, but nothing's cooler at a concert. Remember those than watching your tube amp go up in flames. It's happened to me. It's happened to me where you get unexpected tube issues, and all of a sudden everything goes south pretty fast. But yeah, but tube amps are great because you also keep you warm in the winter time. Quicksilver says those Angelicos are confusing. There are some cheap ones and some expensive ones, and they all have the same specs. Huh. I didn't notice that. I wonder why. Interesting. I haven't been eyeing the Angelicos all that much, so I'm not up to speed on all of their models, but that's interesting that you mentioned that. I'll keep an eye out for that. I'm going to see whether or not I can spot any of them and see what the differences are for you. So I have a question for you guys. What's your favorite go-to bar songs? You know, like if you're jamming with a band and you're playing a set, what do you expect to hear as, you know, typical bar songs? And maybe what are the bar songs that you've heard so many times that it makes you want to vomit if you hear it one more time? I'm just asking because we haven't been able to jam in a live situation for a long time since COVID. So my band, you know, we've all been waiting at home for an opportunity to get together again, and we've been reevaluating the set list. And I think, you know, we've been playing the same songs for a long time. It's time to revamp and refresh and add some songs. And it would be cool to get your opinion on some songs that you would think would be, you know, would be cool to have in a set list. And maybe I can add them if they're not already in there. We tend to play more classic rock stuff. So at the end of the day, it's like your typical, you know, classic rock. But, you know, some interesting new songs as well. And some new bands that are interesting to play as well. So pipe in your suggestions in the comments just so I can maybe make a list and have a few to go by. Thanks for the thumbs up, Vox. I appreciate that, man. So I'm going to jump to the bottom here because I think I'm slowing everyone down. So Fat Philosopher says rock and roll, Led Zeppelin, Closing Time, Semisonic. So are those the songs that make you want to vomit, or are those the ones that you like to hear? Put a little vomit icon next to it so I know. Yeah, Oasis definitely makes me vomit. Me too. Even the first time I heard it, it made me want to vomit. Does that mean? Sorry. Proud Mary. Let's see here. How many of these songs do we have on our set list? Anything by Lee Greenwood. Okay, I don't have anything from Lee Greenwood on our set. Closing Time. I think it's a good bar song, but I think it makes a lot of people want to hurl. Fat Philosopher. We actually had it on our set list there for about a minute, and then we decided not to play that anymore. What else? Oasis, we said. Proud Mary. Just scrolling back here. So Bruce says he has a D35 and oh my god, it's cherry. You know what? Those guitars are very hard to beat. So yeah, if you have one in your collection, I understand. I understand 100%. I'm a Martin guy, and I learned that the hard way. I started off with a few other guitars. I had that cheap guitar that I initially bought that was an acoustic that I got way back, which was I think an Aria or something like that, which was an okay guitar. But I mean, I think my brother-in-law still has that one. I think I might have sold it to him way back, like probably over 20 years ago, and I think he still has it. I'd be curious to pick it up again one day and see how it sounds today. But so I went from the Aria, then I ended up getting an Alvarez, which was a decent guitar too. It played really well. And it wasn't extremely expensive. It was well built, and I had that for many years. Then I experimented with a few of the Taylor guitars. I had a couple of different Taylor guitars, and Taylor guitars are not bad, but they're kind of like the Cadillac of acoustic guitars. That's how I like to refer to them, because they're kind of like, their sound is very, how can I put this, homogeneous. It's very kind of not wow and not like bad. It's kind of like middle of the road. It's nice. It has a good sound, but it doesn't have the spank and the brightness of a Martin. And then when I tried the Martin, I was sold. I'm like, yeah, these are the guitars that I want. this is the guitar that I want. And I purchased a Martin, and I've had it ever since. I've tried a few other acoustic guitar brands as well, like side by side, and honestly, some of them are good, and some of them were not good at all. And I like one of the Takamine or Takamine or Takamine, however you want to pronounce it. I've tried quite a few of those, and I was never really impressed with them. I don't know why. It's just they I don't know. I didn't find they projected all that well. They sounded a little bit bloated, in my opinion. And I also had an Ovation at one point, which wasn't a bad guitar, but it definitely has that plasticky sound to it. So I ended up selling that one, and eventually I also tried the Martin knockoffs, and I have a video of one of those in my early reviews that I purchased for my nephew, and those were actually quite good, and I was actually surprised by how good they were. So that's kind of what I had, and I stuck with Martin ever since, and I haven't had any issues with them either. Fat Philosopher says, play Disposable Heroes or Motor Breath by Metallica. That would wake everyone up. Homogeneous. Yeah, homogeneous, you know. Joe says, I have a Martin and a Taylor. I don't like the Martin for some reason. Oh, well, ship it over to me, man. I'll take it off your hands. Vox says, Martins are my favorite by far. Love the tone and playability. Nothing like them for me. Ed says, Tony, do you have any P90 guitars? Yeah, there's one right behind me. Oh, you can't see it because it's the gold top right over there. Right there. Gold top. That one has P90s. It's Harley Benton gold top. I love P90s. P90s are great. I wish I had P90s in more of my guitars. Cool Tune says, Takamine, you have to go high end. $4,500 range was decent guitar. Taylor is for women, in my opinion. He's just joking about the women stuff, guys. He's laughing. He's just laughing. Fat Philosopher says, my wife and daughter both play Taylors, lol. So there, it confirms it. Seth says, please add Comfortably Numb to the set list. So good. Yeah, I like Pink Floyd. I like Pink Floyd. So Comfortably Numb is great. Beautiful solo in there. I gotta learn it one day. I could kind of like fake it, at least the beginning part of it, but I never actually sat down and learned the solo note for note. But it's a fantastic solo. So Mike says, I like the acoustic brands from your homeland. Godin, Art and Luthier, Siegel, etc. There's also Boucher, which makes some very fine acoustic guitars. They're very expensive, but they're great. Yeah, there's quite a few decent brands coming out of Canada for sure. God knows we have enough wood. Joe says, I gave the Martin to my wife. There you go. That's one way of getting another excuse to buy another guitar. So C-Post says, do you play that Friedman Head and Marshall 412 in that room? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The Friedman and that cabinet is fantastic. It's got original Celestion 65s in it. That I bought it that way. And I'll tell you a funny story. Somebody was advertising that cabinet for $400, and I said to myself, worst comes to worst, even if there's no speakers in it, I'll you could probably not. It's hard to find the Marshall, even just the empty cabinet, for $400. So I said, let me go check it out. So I went in to the guy's house. He had it in his the attic of his garage. So I went in and I'm like, oh boy, who knows what kind of rat-infested cabinet I'm going to end up finding here. So he went in and he pulled it out, and you know, it looked great. It looked, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't perfect. It's old, right? It's vintage. So I took it home because it looked okay, and I didn't know what kind of speakers were, and I didn't even open it up. When I got home, I opened it up, and lo and behold, it had 4 original Celestion 65 made in England speakers in there. And for those of you who don't know, those speakers, just the speakers today, sell probably about $250 each. So I think I came up on top with that sale, and I don't think that the kid knew what he was selling. So I'm super happy with it because it sounds fantastic and a perfect match with the Friedman. The Friedman is a 50-watt amp, more or less. The Dirty Shirley. You can't crank it in this room. Obviously, you'll go totally deaf. But it has a great master volume. That's one of the things about the Friedman amps. So you can get like really nice saturation even at low volumes. But obviously, you know, that head is made to be cranked. And you know, when I have the opportunity to take that with me to a gig and just crank it a little bit, it's heaven, you know. So yeah, so I do. The answer is yes. Fat Philosopher says Freebird. Yeah, Freebird's always a good one as well. Here, let me, do I have my list here? I don't know if I have my list. I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to vote, but maybe I will do that another time. I have a list, my set list that we have. We have over 100 songs for sure in that list. Maybe on the next one we'll have a little some kind of a little contest or something. We'll vote what we want to keep and what we want to get rid of in terms of set list. C-Post says, I really want a Friedman twin sister with a 4x12. You know what? The twin sister is, you don't really, here's my opinion on that, okay? Because I saw the twin sister. I feel that, my opinion is that the Dirty Shirley, as is, one channel with 3 gain stages. We have a little switch on it. You can choose your gain stage. It's not foot switchable. Is perfect the way it is. The twin sister gives you basically the ability to switch between, you know, the one level of gain to another. But honestly, you don't need it. You can save yourself quite a bit of money, in my opinion, just by getting the pedal. I was playing it yesterday. Where did I put it? The pedal is, oh man, I left it somewhere. Let me see here. Where did I put it? I'm losing track of my stuff here. Guys, help me out. Am I losing my marbles? I don't see it. Here it is. Okay. Or at least the box. I hope it's in the box. No, it's not in the box. Oh, here it is. Okay. Sorry, it was buried under some other stuff. You can just get this, guys. So, you know, get the amp, get this, and you have a 2-channel amplifier where you have plenty of gain, as much gain as you need, and you have the authentic sound of the amplifier. They're made for each other. You know, you can get one of these for like $200 or so. I don't know how much more the twin sister goes for, but definitely would be more than that. That's my opinion. The dog's not chewing on it. She's going to hurt her teeth. She hardly even chews her rawhide bones anymore because they've gotten too hard. Quicksilver says, I have a list of 350 songs, but every time we get together to rehearse, we always start drinking and chatting, and the booked time at the rehearsal space would just run out. You know what? We have similar experiences. We have songs on our set list that we do play, but often when we get together, we just go off on so many tangents that we end up playing other things that are not even on the list. So that doesn't help. But I miss those days, and I'm hoping that soon we'll be able to get back to those crazy times. Oh man. So, by the way, guys, when was it? Yesterday, I took a look at the new song that Wolfgang Van Halen released, which is called "Don't Back Down." Really nice song, I gotta say. I mean, a lot. I like it more than the initial one that he launched. You know, that was basically a tribute to his dad, which was more of a tearjerker. This one's pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of the Foo Fighters. And I really like the Foo Fighters, and it's pretty cool because it's. I watched the video. It's really rock and roll, and the video is basically him playing all the instruments. So there's basically he's playing the drums, the bass, guitar, singing, doing all that stuff. And it's kind of tongue in cheek. It's actually funny because there's little sections in there at the beginning, at the end that are kind of funny, and. I like it. It's a great song. So I'm hoping that we'll hear some more great stuff out of him. At the beginning, I'm like, here we go. You know, here's another kid who's gonna be riding the coattails of his dad's legacy and stuff, and it's gonna be like meh. But that song actually is pretty good. So I'm really happy for him. And there was actually a story where they wanted to do a tribute to Eddie Van Halen at the Grammys, and they asked Wolfgang to play Eruption, and he refused. Maybe he can't play it, I don't know, but he refused. And at the same time, he was a little disappointed that the tribute to his dad was only going to be last about 19 seconds or something out of the whole, the whole time that they were going to be giving tribute. So interesting, right? Yeah, so there you go. The Twin Sisters, about $400 more than a Dirty Shirley. Honestly, get yourself a pedal. You don't need another channel. This is your second channel. Yeah, this is the BEOD. It's basically the brown eye overdrive. So you basically, it should essentially give you more gain than what you're getting out of the Dirty Shirley. And it's got an adjustable pot in there and the inside, so you can adjust how much gain you get out of it. Inagata da vida. Yeah, it's true, eh? Inagata da vida, honey. Gotta put that one on the list. Maz Electra says, caffeine injection from my new ATG mug. Cheers to you then. Again, I'll take a sip out. I'm using both mugs today. So do you guys want to see what I was working on yesterday? I'll give you a little preview. Has nothing, I'm warning you ahead of time, has nothing to do with guitars, all right? But I'm still a little bit sore from it all. I just got to see how I can actually, how do I actually do this? Let me just, hold on one sec. I might not even be able to. Okay, forget it. I'm not gonna risk messing things up here. I'll just tell you what it is. So basically, I remember 2 weeks ago or last week I mentioned that I wanted to get a pizza oven, and I was going to invite all you guys over for a pizza party at my place. Well, I ended up getting the pizza oven, brought it home, beautiful pizza oven, and I didn't have anywhere to put it, so I ended up going to the hardware store, buying a whole bunch of lumber, and basically building a really nice table for it that I would be able to use this and do all that I need to do with it, right? And so I did that yesterday. I figured it would be an ugly weekend. Saturday was really gross, so I ended up going and buy the lumber on Friday. I ended up putting a about 4 hours building it yesterday, and it's in my garage. It's all done. So one step closer to delicious pizza, guys. I'm super stoked about that. There's nothing like wood-fired pizza, let me tell you. You can buy regular pizza from pizza shops all day long, but unless it's wood-fired pizza, it's not the same. Cool Tune says, yes, my Dirty Shirley pedal is more of a blues driver. The BEOD for more drive for sure. Yeah, definitely. And I thought it'd be more colored. I thought this one would actually color the sound too much, but it doesn't actually, and it's got all of the flexibility because you have volume, gain, bass, treble, presence, and the tight knob as well. So you have all of the control that you would need to tailor in the sound exactly the way you need it. And it plays really nicely with a whole lot of different amplifiers. Seth says, addicted to pizza. Next to guitars, my favorite thing. Quicksilver says, 177 is like a $300 Canadian. What are we talking about here now? Sorry. Yeah, the overdrive pedal. The overdrive, yeah, but it's not that don't buy it brand new. You get these used all the time. You can get these for about 100, anywhere between 150 and 170 bucks used. So don't go buying them brand new. My opinion, you don't need a brand new one. The best Friedman overdrive is the new small box. I had the BEOD and the Dirty Shirley and sold them. The small box is easily twice as fat sounding. Yeah, I mean, the small box is definitely something amazing. I think it actually is more of a modern tone, but I like the JCM 45 sound, and I find that the Dirty Shirley is more along those lines. You can't really get a pure clean sound out of it. It's always going to be a little bit dirty, but it does that so well, and that's the sound that I was after with that particular amp. So but the small box is a great amp as well if you want to get that big fat sound for sure. I gotta hand it to Dave. He's got the ear for tone, man. He really has been knocking them out of the park. These amps fetch a serious amount of money, but I understand why people are willing to pay for them. Because they're really that good, and it's all like hand wired stuff in there, guys. It's not like circuit board builds like you would find on some other type of amps as well. What kind of strings do you have on that pizza? They're light gauge. I would say they're probably 8s. You know, the secret of a good pizza is definitely mastering the dough and not putting more than 3 ingredients on the pizza. You know what I mean? You don't need more than 3. A good margarita pizza, you have the sauce. You put the sauce on there. You put a few pieces of ricotta cheese or whatever cheese you like in there, and you don't need much else. You put some a few leaves of basil on there. You put a smidge of some olive oil around there, and you're in business. I mean, you already have a great pizza. I think that's where most people go wrong, is they try and cram too much ingredients on a pizza. Dan says, have you ever tried phase amplifiers? Oddly enough, I haven't. You know why? I've actually, the phase is not far from me. They're here in Canada. They make some very interesting amplifiers. The Daisy Cutter is one of them. They have a few other ones that are like claim to give you the Led Zeppelin tone. They have the one that's supposed to be giving you the slash tone as well. They're not extremely expensive. They're handmade, one at a time, by the owner of Phase Amps, and they sound pretty good from what I can tell over the internet, at least. I wanted to reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to send an amp for review, but it's, I guess, it's a one-man show, So at the end, it was like I think he just didn't have any inventory, and he would build as he would get his orders, so it wasn't possible. But yeah, I've been looking at those. They're because they're not really expensive. They look like you can get a pretty decent sound out of them. And if I'm not mistaken, he even has one now that is supposed to be like a Friedman type circuit or sound. So I'd be interesting to see how they sound. Vox Guitars says, my wife is listening and she's wondering if you speak French. She's from Quebec and thinks there's something in your voice. Well, actually, my accent is probably more Italian than French, but I do speak French. I speak English, French, and Italian as well. My French is not fantastic, but j'essaie de parler en français des fois. Quand j'ai une opportunité de parler français, je vais au moins essayer. So how's that? Do I pass the French test, guys? The secret is in the sauce, exactly. You don't want a bitter sauce. You don't want a sauce that is too salty. That's the secret, is getting a good sauce. Maz Electra, so there you go. I'll have one ready for you when you get here, okay? Off topic, Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson, who is the bigger legend? I choose Whitney. Interesting. That's a great topic, Angel. I would have to say, I mean, definitely Michael Jackson had a huge impact. Definitely had a longer career. I mean, he was performing from when he was a child, whether he liked it or not. And I don't know, man. I have a feeling. I mean, they're both very cool artists, but I would have to give it to Michael probably. Fat philosopher makes me laugh. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Yeah, exactly. That's all you need to know here. Definitely something you want to know if you're going to come to any clubs here in my neck of the woods. The great thing about these pizza ovens is you can make much more than pizza in there, right? You can make your pizzas, you can make bread, you can make calzones, you can make bagels, you can make pretzels, you can make all kinds of stuff. So I'm really stoked. I just have to be able to get the hang of it. I think the first few pizzas, or maybe even the first few dozen pizzas, might not be as good as I expect them to come out, because you really have to. There's no temperature gauge there. I mean, you're basically working with flame, so you have to make sure the oven is hot enough. When the oven is hot, you could basically get between 800 and 1,000 degrees. So a pizza will typically cook in about, I would say, anywhere between like a minute and a half and in 2 minutes or so. So you got to keep your eye on it. It goes really fast. Jeff says, so Tony, can we expect some meh themed ATG merch? I don't know, maybe. What do you think? Would that be something cool? I haven't really changed up the lineup for the merch. I don't know if there's some other stuff that I should do. I should think about that. I've had so many other things to do and worry about and take care of that I haven't had time to do anything on the merch side. But speaking of merch, guys, if you want to support the channel, and if you haven't already purchased your mug, definitely grab one in the section below the videos. And that always goes a long way in helping the channel do what we need to do. Oh, I wanted to show you guys something pretty cool. Look what I got. This was a gift. This is, I don't know if you can see that. Let me put it on the right side here. There we go. There you go. Anyways, it's a guitar pick keychain that doubles as a bottle opener. Now that's a cool idea, right? It was actually given to me by my daughter's boyfriend, and really thoughtful gift. Look at that. So you know, even though a lot of beer bottles these days come with twist off caps, you know, you still have those imports that are still not twist off. So you're set for any situation with that, and it's always ready to go. So I really appreciate that gift. Really nice, very thoughtful. So what else, guys? We're into it for about an hour. I wanted to get some more questions out of you guys because you know what's going to happen. We're going to get to the top of the hour and we're going to run out of time, and then you guys are not going to be able to answer your questions. So give me your questions if you have them. Did you guys hear about Lemmy? You know who Lemmy is? Lemmy from Motorhead. Apparently, he did something pretty rock and roll. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but he was cremated after he passed away, and he had his ashes loaded into bullets, like, you know, bullets for a gun, and he gave out, the instructions were to give out a bullet to each one of his close friends as like a memento, and keep. And I thought, wow, man, that is such a rock and roll thing to do. You know, put your ashes in bullets and give them to your friends. That was cool. That's a cool freaking idea. So I really, I thought that was something I wanted to tell you guys. It's just like interesting, you know. He lived like life as a rocker till the end. So, Cool Tune says, Tony, I'm starving. Get that oven going. Definitely, I'm on it, man. I'm on it. I'll let you know as soon as it's ready, all right? Here we go. Frank says, did you ever hear Walter Rossi Montreal guitarist? Yeah, for sure. I know Walter Rossi. Played for Nanette and also Pagliaro, yeah. Nanette Workman and Pagliaro were pretty famous musicians in my area. Says, we ate pizza at the local dive. Cool, man. Jeff says, it's the best quality mug I own. Awesome, awesome. Glad to hear it, man. Seth says, send me a neck so I can pleck. Are you serious about that, Seth? Can I send you a neck or not? Because I have a neck on my workbench that's going to be going into a... I have one that's going to be going into a Strat build that I'm working on. And there's another neck that I have that's going to be going into that purple Telecaster that I haven't finished. I'm still spraying it, by the way, guys. I sprayed some more coats yesterday. It's just a couple more coats and I'm going to be ready to start sanding that sucker. It's taking forever. Fat Philosopher says, thoughts on the Jackson X series guitar? The Jackson stuff is decent. I think it's great. I don't have any bad things to say about them. Except for the reverse headstock that they have on a lot of their guitars, which kind of is a pain. But I don't know if I don't think the X, does the X have the reverse headstock? I don't remember now. But a lot of people like the Jackson guitars. I find they're good value for the money. They do have that. They do have a little bit of that vintage vibe to them, right? They're more like that 80s type of thing. So if you're into that kind of stuff, then the Jackson stuff is pretty cool. Have you played the Godin Radium or Stadium guitars? I haven't played those. I've played the Montreal, which is more of like a jazz box type guitar. What else did I play from them? I did play the acoustic electric at one point. I tried that one, but I haven't tried the Radium or the Stadium yet. Overall, my impression, Paul, of the Godin stuff is all good. I mean, the quality, the craftsmanship, and the materials that go into those guitars are all good. I don't think you're gonna get a dud you might want to change the pickups. That is probably maybe one of the weaker points in the guitars, but as far as the quality of the build, they're going to last a lifetime. Anything new on the red Kramer? Not yet. The red Kramer is in there. I have something that I'm planning to do to it that should be arriving soon, and I'll probably make a video of that. I'm probably going to change the pickup in that guitar. I've lived with it now for a little while, and definitely the Jeff Beck Seymour Duncan that I have in the black Kramer definitely kicks the ass of the pickup that is in that Kramer. So the stock pickup doesn't do it for me. So I'm going to probably change that out, put in a different pickup in there, and do something with the actual top of the guitar that I want to share with you guys. But I want to keep that as a surprise. It's probably going to be coming in the next week or so, hopefully. Jeff says, I just got the old Boss ME5. 1989 multi-effects, some great sounds, built like a tank. Do you have any old gear that you've revisited that is better than you remember or worse than you remember? I rarely go backwards. When I sell something, I usually don't go back, but I can tell you that as far as the Boss equipment, the multi-effects units, I've had most of the incarnations that they've come out with, and they've all have gotten substantially better. So I don't feel a big urge to go back. At one point I did have the Johnson multi-effect unit, which was kind of like that was out at the same time as the pod, like the little bean-shaped pods, if you remember those. At one point I had a red bean-shaped pod, and then I upgraded it to the newer one, which was a black version. And out of curiosity, at one point, I decided it would be cool to go back and listen to those bean-shaped pods to see how they stack up today. They sound pretty awful, I have to say, compared to what we have today. They didn't stack up all that well, so I didn't buy it. Thankfully, I just tried it again just to refresh my memory. But it's just funny. It goes to show you how much our state of mind changes over time, because when the pod came out, everybody was like, wow, this is really cool, it's like, amazing, it sounds so real. And then a new one comes out and we say the same thing, and a new one comes out, and every time there's a new one, it's like, oh, this is it, this is the one that sounds, it's exactly the same as an amp, and then we go back to it and we're like, no, it really isn't. And it's just funny if you think about it. So I try not to go backwards. I visited older gear, revisited older gear, more from like an amplifier perspective and stuff like that, but not really from multi-effects. I find that there's a lot more that changes in multi-effects, and it changes a lot quicker. So you end up regretting it if you go back, I think. So Jack wants to know my thoughts on the new Harley Benton single cuts with EMG pickups. Those guitars are basically the same as what they had without the EMG pickups, in my opinion. They didn't really change all that much in terms of styling. So I'm thinking, like, beyond, I think, the locking tuners. I think they added locking tuners to those, which is nice to see. I think the bodies are pretty much what they had previous, and they just put in the active pickups. I'm not a big fan of active pickups for whatever reason. I just the ones that I've tried, maybe they've gotten better over the years, but the ones that I've tried, yeah, they're noiseless, but they don't have the same liveliness to them, in my opinion. So I'm not a big fan of those. I don't mind the hum as long as I can get dynamics out of the pickups, and but they look like they're nice guitars, and I'm sure for the money they definitely will make a lot of people happy. I'd love to try one just out of curiosity to see what the EMG pickups sound like these days. The X Series normal headstock C1 going for about $950, and 950, that is that Canadian or American? Just wondering. We've been talking about Jackson ever since the fire went out. What is the best path resource for learning the fretboard in theory? I would say a good teacher. For online stuff, there are a few resources for learning how to play guitar online. I've tried 3 or 4 of them because at one point I wanted to do a comparison video, and all of them kind of fell short in one way or another. Some of them have some really nice videos that you can use that will help you to learn how to play songs, chords, and whatnot. But nothing beats a good music teacher if you have one, if you have access to one. It's expensive because, you know, you're looking at probably, I don't know, $30, $35 for half an hour. But if the teacher's good, you will get so much more out of it, because they will find ways of explaining it to you that will make you understand. Music theory is rather complicated in a lot of ways, and it's hard to understand at all. And really, in my opinion, I've had I had an aha moment when I started taking lessons with a really, really good music teacher. He was relatively young, but he was a master at writing out scores of music. Like that was his thing. Is he would play guitar, but he'd be able to write out like a score for like an orchestra. He was that good. So he really understood the ins and outs of it. And it wasn't until I started taking lessons with him that I kind of like the curtain started to open up for me, and that shroud of mystery around music theory and how it all works together kind of started to open up for me. And it's funny because you have there's so many different perspectives in theory of music it's all interrelated, but sometimes you don't see what the connection is because you're learning, something independently. Like, let's say you're focusing on the circle of fifths or chord inversions or how to build a chord, or you're even something as simple as learning your scales and trying to memorize all the sharps and flats. Like, it's not clear to you that all the sharps and flats are there for a reason, and it's only when you start learning the theory behind it that you understand that this is why this particular scale has these sharps and flats, and this is why these chords sound great when you're playing over that particular scale or melody, and this is how I should be building a song, and these are the reasons why I should be using these chords or these pattern of chords within the song to make it sound good. And it's all connected. So a good teacher will be able to basically show you those connections and really make it a lot more fun and a lot less confusing. And I find you can't really get that online yet, because they basically leave it up to your own devices. You're just doing a whole bunch of reading and you're hoping that you're going to understand it. If you're going to do it that way, then you're better off maybe getting a good book as well and trying to learn off the books. But you can get stuck in so many different places that it really is helpful to have a good teacher. So that's my advice. You get what you pay for, but if you can find a good teacher, that's number one. Hey, speaking of good books, I wanted to show you guys this. I picked up this book. It was in the sale through bin at my local store. I think I picked it up for $6. Check this out. The Complete Guitar Encyclopedia. How cool is that? So for anybody that wants to get gas, definitely if you start reading this book before bedtime, you're going to have some interesting dreams for sure. But I mean, there's references to practically every single guitar. And check this out. So you have, I'm just going to from the early guitars, check out these old vintage guitars, the resonator guitars, the Telecasters. Here you see some Fender designs. It gives you the history and the background. And we get into all the different types of Les Pauls and so on and so forth. Then we get into the Jeff Beck stuff. Crazy crazy guitar. And there's history and references to all the guitars, and $6, man, I couldn't resist. So this is definitely a great bedtime reading book that I usually keep by my side just to kind of wet the whistle a little bit. I've been relying mostly on online and books so far. I will definitely look into a good teacher soon, probably start virtual and then face-to-face. Yeah, virtual is not easy. I've tried giving virtual lessons, and that doesn't really work. You got to be in person. Vox Guitars says, I always got stuck on inharmonic equivalents. Yeah, and also the circle of fifths is not easy to learn and memorize for a beginner, but it's definitely a great tool to know. Once you understand how that works, it opens up quite a bit. Keith says, what kind of wood are you burning in your oven? Well, Keith, I haven't actually burned anything yet. It's not even outside yet because it's still rainy and ugly here, and my yard is all soggy and stuff. But soon I'll be burning some. It's going to be hardwood. You don't want to burn any soft wood in an oven like that because the soft woods have sap in it, and what ends up happening is that the sap. You know when you hear the crackles, that's the sap burning off. And what ends up happening is that you get that happening within your oven. You're going to get like all kinds of stuff on your pizza, which is not what you want. Plus the soft wood burns way too fast. So you want a good hard wood so that it basically burns slowly and keeps the temperature at the right, the right level for the pizza. So I learned the fretboard by playing with a backing track from a YouTube channel, Elevated Jam Tracks, had fun, and now I know the fretboard and can improvise. You know, learning the fretboard isn't that hard once you start learning the relative positions of everything. What I would say, guys, this is just for the people that are asking this question, if you're trying to learn the fretboard, what I would say is this. Start off with one string and just learn the notes on that one string and memorize that one string. Try to memorize it, okay? So E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, we know that the E is, the 12 is the octave and everything repeats. Then what you want to start doing is get little tricks going so that if you know, for example, that the E and the E, the low and the E are exactly the same. So now you already know two strings, right? Because it's going to be E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E on both the low and the high. So you already knocked off two strings out of 6, right? Good so far. Then you can learn another trick where you can say, okay, if I take the D string and then the D is basically what you have on the E string, but two frets up, right? So you know that, so if you have a G on the 3rd, you're gonna have a G on the 5th. So it repeats. The same for the A, B, C, D, E. So now you knocked off another string off of the list. And there's a few tricks like that you can use to give you a relative reference and be able to find your way on the fretboard. And once you learn that, it's a piece of cake. The tool that I felt helped me the most, and I don't even know if it's still around, was an app called Fretboard Warrior. You can get this on your phone, and basically what it does is it gives you, it points at a fret, and then you have to answer what note that is on the fret. So it just randomly selects a whole bunch of places on the fretboard, and you have to answer what it is in a certain amount of time to beat your record and try and answer more of the questions, you know. And it works works really well. It's like a game, and it really does work. If you do that for a couple of weeks, you'll definitely see a big difference there. Cool Tunes Matey says, Tony, what are you charging for lessons? I don't charge. I don't give lessons. Sorry. Vox says, don't let the wife load that oven with Fender Alder. Yeah, exactly. And if I piss her off, she might just do that. Hey, Henry, how's it going? Henry jumped in at the end of our chat here. Pack that oven up and head west. That's a great idea. I'd love to do that. Just have to convince the wife. So guys, I think we're going to wrap it up. We've been chit-chatting here for about an hour and a half. If you guys have any last questions or last comments, go ahead, ask them now, or forever hold your peace, or at least until next Sunday. And then I'll give you the rest of your day back so you can go out, learn how to play guitar, or learn the notes on your fretboard, and learn how to improvise. I don't know why, but I'm running out of picks. I gotta get to the store soon because I'm playing with these crappy picks that I don't like. I've lost most of my good ones. They're probably in the washing machine or the dryer right now, and I'm often just playing with my fingers because I don't have any more picks left lying around here. All right, guys. So if there's no more questions for this week, give me a thumbs up, please. Don't forget to help out the channel, buy some merch, spread the word, ask your friends to join in and watch the videos, and you know, just do anything you can to support the channel. I really do appreciate it. It's always a lot of fun to be able to talk to you guys during the weekend. I look forward to Sundays so much, and I hope you guys too do also. I see that there's more and more people on the live streams every week, which is fantastic to see. And if you joined in too late or you weren't able to catch the stream, no worries. You can always rewind it and play it later on. We're going to be posting it live. And if you have any questions, just ask your questions, because even after the video goes live, I'll still answer any of the questions. And don't hesitate to feel that you can't ask the questions even after the fact. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. Stay tuned this week. There'll be some videos being posted, and there might be a giveaway that I will actually put on live or announce on one of my upcoming videos. So stay tuned for that, so you have an opportunity to win something really cool. And guys, next week, next Sunday, 10 o'clock AM Eastern Standard Time, feel free to join me, and we'll continue the conversation then with more gear talk. And hopefully I'll have some more interesting things to show you by then. So that's it for now, guys. Stay tuned. Keep rocking. Thank you for joining me on Addicted to Gear. See you soon, guys.